Hello and welcome to the student portion of the lesson, and I will be talking about parents of gifted students, their perceptions and expectations of their children, and then how that affects the child's emotional and academic growth. So let's begin the lesson with a scenario, and this is taken from an actual Facebook entry in a parent forum, and I'm going to give you a few moments to read the passage so that it can be as neutral as possible, and I'm not adding any inflection or meaning behind the passage. So I'll give you a few minutes to do that. Okay. Well, the curriculum in this vignette is designed to adapt and become more challenging as the child progresses through it. We're not going to focus on the curriculum. That's for another day. And we're actually going to focus on the parent's perception and her expectations. So the questions that I was thinking of when I did this was, how does the mother's parenting style of her twice exceptional son affect his emotional and educational development? And then, how does the concept of gifted affect the mom's perception of her son? So then we will look at the word gifted, and how does it change one's perception? And from this week's chapter on family and friend relationship development, the author mentions that family is an integral part of how a child develops relationships with others. Also mentioned is that families of gifted children have stressors and concerns that are different than other families. So a parent's perception of gifted can alter how they handle their child's emotional and academic development. They may change their viewpoint on their child's future options, um, raising their expectations. However, their parenting style can vary, so they can go from an extremely high expectation with little nurturing and support, or they can go all the way to a extremely low expectation and too much attention to the child. Or they could even do a nice balance between their expectation and their support system for the child. Um, it's also seen that their parenting styles and their perceptions can lead to additional stress, can lead to disorganization and dysfunction in the family. So that can bring challenges to the child and bring about perfectionism, underachievement, running the show, disruptive behavior in the classroom, and difficulty in peer relations. And it can also bring challenges for the family, especially if there are siblings within the family. So competition, favoritism, and other aspects. Let's talk about some of these parenting styles and then additional characteristics and issues that can develop. So we're going to talk about authoritative, authoritarian, and the permissive parenting styles. Authoritative parenting style, that is one where parents are highly responsive to their child and have a similar level of expectation. So they also direct activities in a rational manner. They involve the child's interest within those activities. They do still have very high expectations, but their expectations and their supportive behavior with their child, the highly responsive behavior with their child, can lead the child to having a healthy perfectionism, so one that looks for achievement, but when they fail, they also look at it as a learning opportunity. And the parent's supportive nature uh, nurtures that. So this is um, a good balanced parenting style. There's an authoritarian parenting style, and that's an exhibit where parents exhibit a high level of expectation and a strict focus on accomplishment. And typically it's all about accomplishment. It's where the parent makes all the decisions, may not even include the child's interests because they feel like they know better. They may have a focus where they feel like they have to be the manager or the enforcer of the child's path. Um, they have lower nurturing levels. So, because they're focused on the child's achievement and the focus on what the child is going to become in the future. Um, this can lead, for the child, it can lead to a maladaptive perfectionism, can also lead to underachievement and even disruptive behavior because they don't feel like they're a part of their own education. Permissive parenting style is an acceptance of all the child's impulses, desires, actions, and yet there are no boundaries. There are no, or very few boundaries. They can sometimes this can sometimes lead into a child running the show, the child being the adult, and may also lead to the parent feeling like they have to give the child constant attention, but the expectations are not very high. So this can lead to a disruptive behavior from the child in surroundings that are not focused, by the parent. So like in an educational setting where the child feels like it's okay to run amok and run the show in when they're with their parent and feels like it's okay to do that whenever they're in school, which can obviously lead to problems, both peer and teacher relationship issues. So we need to talk about, the change of perception and can that change behavior. And I included a quote here from an article that I've included in the resources that I found was very good. And what it did was it analyzed 5 families. And within this article, you see the permissive, the authoritative, and the authoritarian parent styles, and how this positively and negatively affected the child's academic and emotional development. And I thought this quote, though, was very poignant because he says in this that the child in this context was viewed more as an object whose destiny was to fulfill the obligations stemming from his or her giftedness. And that's instead of focusing on the child. And we always must remember that it's the child first and the accomplishment is second. So in this, what we first want to do is understand our parents' expectations of their child. We also, as educators, need to remember that our parents are our partners in their child's education. They have a lot of really good information about their child, but sometimes we then need to educate the parent so that it benefits the child. And so sometimes we need to have the parent or help the parent understand better ways of handling situations or focusing on the child, their interests, instead of the high expectations and accomplishments. And then we first, or most importantly, always need to support the child, because there will be situations in which the environment at home will not be conducive to academic and emotional development. And so we as educators need to make sure that we support them in at least the educational environment so that they can receive that attention that they need. So let me come to the resources. And as I said before, I really appreciated doing or reading the He Was Born That Way, Parental Constructions of Giftedness. I really felt like that was very poignant in the studies. But I also included personality factors and perceived parenting styles, perfectionism among academically gifted students. I felt like that was a good article. And then I also used our Foundations book as well as our the book for this class for this. So I've included the assignment as a separate piece, and hopefully that can be included. And then I also did a discussion. So thank you for your time.